May have been a video I should have led with this channel. But what is this channel? What do all these things have in common? These different things that I'm doing. I got the automotive stuff, the music, guitars, stuff like that, traveling, small business, philosophy, politics, all kinds of stuff. And what it is, the common denominator, the thing that connects all of them, is, in a manner of speaking, I'm trying to make America great. I'm trying to restore America, maybe the world. It's about, people talk about the good old days. And some people get mad about that because they're like, well, some people didn't have the good old days. Well, it may have been sort of a fantasy in the first place for most people. But it's realistic. If not everybody got to do it, then that's more reason to bring it back. I believe in taking things back a ways, in a good way. I'm not completely old-fashioned. There's a lot of modern views I have too. I think we can take these modern ideas, these modern upgrades, and we can otherwise take things back. I believe in, the picturesque things, the way things used to be. I'm not the most social person in the world, but I've always liked these neighbors seem to be almost like family. You saw that a lot in TV shows, movies, and things like that. You don't even see it that much anymore on movies and TV shows. It's strange. But you'd see it in these movies from the 50s on up into the 80s, maybe the early 90s, where you had communities that were real communities. I'm looking to sort of bring that back. I'm looking to have people be more independent. People are very codependent these days. I don't mean financial help, like from a government or something like that. I'm not blaming people for poverty. I've been in poverty my whole life. I mean, not being able to sort of master their own lives. I want people that can do at least some work to their vehicles. I want people to have a vehicle that they could take pride in. They know it. It's not some mass-produced, soulless garbage. I've seen people with these modern cars, and they'll give their car a name. So they kind of have that desire. But it's like, your car is not unique. What are you giving it a name for? And you're not even going to have it in 3 years. I'm trying to get rid of that. I want people to sort of get something and stick with it for the most part. I don't want people paying fortunes for these super expensive guitars when they can go to the pawn shop or, Facebook Marketplace or something like that and buy something and make it their own. Grab a can of spray paint, paint the thing. Learn how to do all this stuff. You can do it. There's a lot of stuff you can learn to do on your own. It just takes a little bit of training, a little bit of teaching. That's one good modern thing. You can get online and learn how to do a lot of this stuff. You can learn the wrong way to do it also, but you can learn the right way. And I'd like to see more people doing that. I'd like to see more people loving their neighbor instead of their government. I'd like to see people getting out and seeing the country. Funding small businesses, helping local charities, things like that. Going to festivals and get-togethers, and just enjoying. Just because somebody's a stranger doesn't mean that they're an enemy. You can get out and be social with people. And again, I'm not a very social person. So that's ultimately what this is. What all these things that I'm going to post, it's going to be a huge variety, even more than I have already. And it's for trying to make sort of a career in Facebook, and I'm only partially looking to do that. I want to make something out of it. I'm not going to lie. I am looking to make some sort of profit eventually. I'm looking for it to go somewhere. it's not going to be the only thing I'm going to do. But all these things, what they all have in common is I'm looking to, and I lost my train of thought there. Let's see. That's why you need to write some of this stuff down ahead of time. So I have like a little pad right here and have my points and go through them. But it's about helping people enjoy the small things and just enjoying their life. That's what's kind of pushed me into possibly doing some kind of political involvement, and even try to create another party, or at least a movement, because time is short. You never know how much you have. And I want people to enjoy their lives. I want them to be as independent as they can be. Like I said, get out, support small businesses. Treat their neighbors as neighbors when they can. You can't always do that. I've had some bad neighbors. Support the small man. Support the small companies. Make America what people claim it is now or claim it used to be. Because if nothing else, if that insults people, let's make it true. Let's make it real. And I'm not talking about discrimination and stuff like that. Obviously, you don't do that. But we're not where we need to be that way either. But that's the goal. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to make some kind of money out of it. But ultimately, I'm just trying to improve things for everyone. I want to have more support for doing this sort of thing so I can continue to do this sort of thing. In my case, personal goals for me, is at least involving financial stuff, is I want to have more time of my own to work more. And I think that should be a goal for anyone. Not to not work, because life is work. If you have a life and you're not working, somebody else is doing your work. It's kind of how it is. Problem with modern life is you work so much for someone else that you don't have time to do your own work. So that's the goal for myself, and I want to do that for other people. I want to encourage other people to do that. Get out, garden. Maximize your own time. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your life. Take full control of your life as much as you can. And if I can sort of inspire somebody else, that'd be a great thing too. There's going to be a lot more things on this channel. And like I said, that's all the theme. That's the theme. That's the one thing that sort of brings it together. There's a lot of these people, I think it's what I tried to say a while ago. If you look up how to make a successful YouTube channel, I'm not doing it correctly. But this is kind of how I've always done things. Music-wise, I'm self-taught. I had to be. What mechanical stuff I know, I'm predominantly self-taught. Had to be. But they tell you just to pick one theme and stick with it. Do one thing. And I get that. Because there might be people tuning into this to see the automotive stuff. And they won't subscribe because maybe they don't like what I say politically. Maybe there's people who like what I say politically, have no interest in the other stuff. So it ends up putting people off, where if I did one of those things, I could have a following. But that's just not the way I live my life. I mean, you can subscribe and not necessarily watch every single thing. I'm subscribed to a lot of people. I don't get to watch as much as I would like. It's only so many hours in a day. And I'm always kicking myself because I'm not supporting them as much as I want to. But it's that's the thing. That's the thing. It's taking your time back. It's about if you really do love this country, and you could argue there's a patriotic slant to it too, an unorthodox patriotic slant for these days. Because you hear a lot of people talking about making America great again and this and that. And the funny thing is, even if you leave aside their views that you could argue with, let's leave that aside for this particular video. Leaving that aside, the small things don't agree with that. They're not doing that. Because I would think, if you're going to say something like make America great again, well, it's again, right? So it was great. Okay, then why aren't you supporting some sort of movement, doing something to make some sort of movement about restoring the things from back then? Like if there's a certain era where it was great, weren't the cars also great? And things like that. The houses. Why aren't you restoring that? Why are you wanting to tear everything down and build new stuff if it was great before? That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand that. It doesn't. Even if you leave aside any other issue you could have with it, it still won't hold up. Well, I'm talking about the real deal here. I'm talking about really going back and grabbing the good things from long ago and bringing them to the future with broader views, you know, because there was, even if you're a person who sort of turns up their nose at this sort of thing, there was all sorts of discrimination back then. We don't want to bring that forward. We want to bring the good things forward. I want life to be simpler again. That doesn't mean you don't keep some of the modern conveniences, but I want life to be simpler again. You know, I was talking to some guy, and older guy, and I was looking. There's a bunch of like small movie theaters in this area. It seemed like on the end of just about every shopping center, there's these small movie theaters. About the size of, it seemed like it's about the size of a dollar store or something. And I was like, what? You know, you can't really do the big screen sort of thing there. Not really to any sort of effect. But what if you get older movies and do the old time movie thing? It would be great for William Castle movies and things like that. Couldn't you do that? People are paying for the experience. A lot of these modern movies, there's not as much interest in doing that as there is interest in going to the movies. That's what they're doing. Whatever happened to be there. And I think that's starting to pick up. So I'm talking about that sort of thing. You know, people restoring classic cars. You notice there's a lot of younger people. If you're into that sort of thing, you might notice, you know, I'm 43 today. There's people a lot younger than me that are fixing up older cars and doing a lot of it themselves. That's a good sign. I believe in doing that. I believe in restoring old houses, restoring the good parts of America. That's what I'm trying to do here. And I'm trying to remind people of it. Kind of like how George Carlin had a bit where he would say something like, he said this a couple of times, and I'm going to butcher it, of course. Thinking up goofy stuff, or reminding you of funny things that happened, and coming back and reminding you and things that were funny that you forgot to laugh at the first time. I told you I was going to butcher it. But that sort of thing. I'm doing it in a less funny way. That's what this is all about. So it has to include politics. It has to include restoring things. There's a term that I call pre-cycling. I think I made that up. And it's not to the point of hoarding, but if you can take something and use it for something, you do, instead of scrapping it. And in a manner of speaking, that saves more than it does. This new stuff is just so disposable. You know, those landfills do get full. So that's why that's what I'm trying to do with this. Restoring the good parts of America, simplifying life. I want less conflict. I want things to be more tranquil. I want people to be able to take a deep breath. I want people sitting out on their front porch, sipping lemonade or iced tea. That's what I want. You know, George Carlin also mentioned people going out and just staring at the clouds every now and then. We've not taken time to do that anymore, and we need to. And the establishment is making it a lot harder to. It's not all our fault that we're just not taking the time to do it. They're taking all of our time, and we haven't noticed because we're wasting our time otherwise. And I'm a big offender in that myself. But that's what we're going to have to do. And that's what this is all about. That's the common denominator. Restoring America, bringing the good things from years ago to the future, and trying to bring people closer together. Trying to spread peace, believe it or not, as much conflict as I get in. I want people to have a simpler life, a slower life, calmer. I want them to take more control in it. And that's what it's all about. It's about taking control. It's about owning your own time. I think I'm repeating myself a whole lot, so I'm just going to call it right there.